So catch up with Kane Rice ahead of this weekend's match against Met Police Reserves. Kane started off the campaign last week with a 2-1 defeat. How did the game go overall though?
I think the truth is, in the first half, they were a long way better than us. We didn't look like we'd started at all in the game. I mean, it took us an hour and 45 minutes-ish to get there. The lads looked very heavy to start with, and I think, to be truthful, very nervous. I got an air of real nerves about the lads early on, and to be blunt, we were 1-0 down at half time, and we were lucky to be only 1-0 down. Although we had a couple of half chances, and one cleared off the line. I think at half time, if it was 3-1 to them, probably would have been a true read of the first half. Second half was a totally different game. I know it sounds stupid and it's a real terrible football cliche, but the game of two halves. Second half, we came out, we put great sequences of play together. We looked like we had done in previous games in pre-season. We started to put good patterns of play together, and within, I think, 4 minutes we'd equalised. We hit the bar 3 times, both posts, and had 2 cleared off the line in the second half. And unfortunately, the one effort they did create, which is a fairly good effort from them, in the second half, they capitalised and scored. So I think for a very young Maidstone group, our average age now I think is 18. They were a reserve side, not a 23s. They were quite an older, experienced side with a few first team lads in it. I think the difference in the management of the game showed a little bit at certain points. But with massive credit to sort of Mason, who's just turned 16, who's hit both posts, hit the crossbar and scored. And I think maybe on another day a little bit of luck and the game goes our way. So it was a difficult game to judge. I think it really was literally first half, second half, and they were 2 separate games for me.
And how much are you, Simon, and the lads looking forward to playing your first competitive game here at the Gala?
I think to get back to the Gallagher will be good for the lads, to be honest. I think last week showed them what it is to travel. I think at their age, some of them have not travelled because of the way youth football is now, longer than an hour to a game. So an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours was quite a journey. To be here and hopefully to have a bit of an atmosphere in Maidstone's supporters will be a big thing, because Met Police lost once last year. They won 6-0 last week. They will be a very, very good group and a very, very tough opponent for us, and it'll give us a real gauge of how far we've come in the 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
You've nicked my next question, so I'm going to have to use it anyway. But yeah, obviously when you saw the fact they had registered that 6-0 win last weekend, what's your thought process going into that game? Obviously you know they're going to be potent up front. How are you going to try and stave that off?
For me, I mean, this is a different prospect to say what John and Hakan do in the first team. This is about us having a progressive plan to allow these lads to develop over time. So there's an element of tweaking to each game, but I'm not going to lie and say we're going to fundamentally change what we do, because we won't. We'll continue with what we've been doing, is creating an identity for the lads and the way of playing that we want to do, and we'll try and make them as resilient as possible. I think the fact that we defended well in pre-season and in the first game only leads us into a place where that should be the same thing, really, for me. I think the credit's got to come where you've got to give the respect to the other teams that they are due. Met Police, quite obviously, are a good side, so we're going to have to be at our very best to do anything with it.
Again, with that side, it is a reserve side rather than an age-specific side. So, again, I guess you'll be looking at, they're probably going to have some older, I say older, they're going to be in their 20s, but maybe older than some of the fellows you've got on your side.
Yeah, but again, this is, like I've said before, we want to win games. There's no question to it. But these lads, it's about them developing. So if you've got 5 or 6 older lads in a group, there's an element of the game that gets calmed by those more experienced players. We don't really have that. I mean, our oldest player is 23, and we have 2 of them. And the next set from that are 20 and 19, 18 down to 16. So we haven't really got that overriding calm head, and it does show in some of the games so far. But it's about them learning, and they've got to mature. If we can get them to manage a game at 18 opposed to manage a game at 23, hopefully that will progress them again.
Well, it's difficult with the side as it is. You're not going to have, let's say, like John and Hack will have an ideal starting 11, because you're going to have, they might chuck a childish your way. You might have players that are unavailable one week that are available the next. So in terms of your selection for this coming weekend, is it a case of just keeping a certain core, or are you looking to keep a relatively settled 11? How do you see that going?
So we work very much on the basis of a credit. So we picked an 11 last week that was performing well, partnered with still 2 lads on holiday. We've got a squad of 19, so our squad isn't going to be massive. We have got that fluctuation if the first team send us guys down, or if the 18s need to progress people. We will go on. If you're playing well, you will continue to play. I don't think last week anyone came away with. There's no negative impression left from me of any of the players last week. I think it showed me a little bit of what I knew already, a little bit of naivety in some places, to do with their age. When you've got a 16-year-old, they're going to be 10 some weeks and 6 others. But like I've said before, that's about them learning, about us helping them to maintain a standard. But that isn't going to happen over a game. And I think this whole thing, this whole 23s thing, is not about us turning from no team at all into a team that's going to win every week. Actually, I think for their development, the fact that they're challenged and pushed to their maximum is going to be better for them longer term. And alright, maybe me and Osto don't look so great in the short term, but that's fine. We've not come here to look $1 million. We came here to help the club progress as a whole, and that might take us 2 years, and that's fine.
Again, for what you saw in the game last Saturday, an entertaining match. So it'd be good for people to come down on Saturday and try it out and have a view. Yeah,
I think the observation of the under 23s league or the suburban league is they do try and play football. We definitely do. We are trying to play football as much as we can and teach the lads when they can and can't. And if you're looking for interesting attacking football that we can progress with and the fans can relate to, and you're not doing wherever the first team are on Saturday, the distance, come and watch us, come and support us, and make your own decision. You guys, the supporters, watch Maidstone every week. They probably know better than we do how far some of these lads are off, and it'd be interesting, and we want the feedback, hopefully nicely, but come and feed back to us and have a chat with us. Me and Osto have been around, we're approachable. Chat with us, chat with the lads, get to know them. One thing I would like to say is we did have one travelling fan to Bracknell, and we'd like to thank him for coming down. It was appreciated that he did make that journey. The lads went and introduced themselves, and we paid for his ticket to get in because I felt it was the least we could do for him doing that journey. So it is appreciated, albeit as one that was not associated to us. We had lots of parents and stuff, but one not associated to us directly. So thank you to them, and hopefully we'll see a lot more supporters on Saturday.